Hi there, this is Lynn with Vicki Lee Bags, and this is the project I have for you to do this week. This is our newest crossbody bag with the little extender here, show you how to make the adjuster for the strap. And it's got a flap. The flap was never meant to be, it's an afterthought. The lady that I made this bag for decided she wanted it at the end, so I'll show you how we put that on. Some of the most exciting things about this little guy is it's got the slip pocket. So it's got the slip pocket and it's got a big zipper in the front. And those are a lot of fun. Another one on the inside, lots of storage in this little bag. And then on the back there is a 3D pocket that I want to show you how you can make. So get ready and we're going to get started on this today. Okay, so for this project, this is my focal fabric, and I cut out two pieces that are 10.5 by 9.5, and I went ahead and I used a product that is made by Pellin, and it is a fusible fleece, number 987F. F means fusible. You don't have to have this. As long as you put some type of interfacing on it, that's going to make your bag really nice. I chose this one because it's a very, very soft, kind of squishy, and it's just going to make the bag feel really, really nice. So I thought I would introduce you to that. If you've never used it, go to your local fabric store and they should have the Pellin, and the number is 987F, and follow the manufacturer's instructions. Now I cut out the fleece. You'll see a little bit smaller than the edges, and it's cut out at 9.5 inches by 8.5, and what it did was it kept it away from the outside edge so that when I sew it, it just got rid of some of the bulk. So I have, of course, the front and the back. The outside front pocket, the measurement for that is 25 inches. Okay, that sounds really strange, but it's very long. It's 25 inches by 10.5, the width of the bag. And the reason for that is we're going to make the pocket out of just one piece. It will make sense, I promise you, once we get started on this, okay? So basically it's just going to go like this, actually like this, fold it over, and your zipper will be in the middle. So that'll be your front pocket. Very, very easy to make. Okay, and I did interface this. I used a very soft, very, very lightweight interfacing for that. The inside piece, the lining, is exactly the same size as the outside, so it's 10.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches. Okay, and then the pocket is the same as the outside pocket. It's 25 inches long by 10.5. Very, very lightly interfaced. Now the zippers on this project, the one for the outside, I chose a 9-inch zipper. It's a tiny bit short, but there's a reason for that. I wanted to show you guys that if something you have in your supply list doesn't exactly fit for your project, there are ways to go around that, and I wanted you to know that. I would have liked this zipper a little bit longer, but I want to show you how you can make this fit and not sacrifice your comfort or your design in any way. And we're going to use these small tabs. So, if you have a 9-inch zipper, great. If you have a long one, that's fine too, but I'm going to show you how to use the 9-inch for this project. Then I'm going to have you cut out 4 of these tabs. You don't have to interface them. They don't really need anything. And they're just 2 inches by 1.5. Okay, so just set those aside for right now, and I'll show you what those are going to be used for. Then you have your inside zipper for your pocket on the inside of your bag. And it's so funny because this one is really, really long, way too long for my project. And I'm going to show you how I cut that down as well. And use the little tabs. Then the strap will be a crossbody. It's also going to be extra long so that I can show you how to use a tri-glide and make it adjustable. If you don't want to make it adjustable, you don't have to. I'll go over both ways to install it. I'm just trying to stretch you a little bit and teach you some different things that will just expand your designing of your bags. Okay? And then I have 2 D-rings. You're going to need 2 D-rings, at least an inch wide here at the bottom, because this is an inch and your strap's going to fit over that nicely. And you're going to need just one. For this project, 2 is nice, but I only had one that was in this like antique brown. And we're just going to use the one. I'm going to show you how to put this on your strap and make it all work. The only thing I say really should be is this really needs to be able to hold a 1-inch strap. It really does go with the tri-glide. Okay, so that about covers our supplies, and let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take this long piece, the 25-inch piece, and we're going to fold it right sides together. And we're going to do a 1/2-inch seam along the top.
So I did sew that seam up. We're going to turn it right side out. Now you could just take it over and press it with the seam at the edge like this. But if you've seen any of my previous videos, I like to bring it down about 3/4 of an inch. It's not a requirement for this project. I just think it looks really nice to have the seam a little bit lower. It gives it a really nice decorative finish on it. So I'm going to press this, and I will be right back. Okay, so now that that is pressed, we're just going to set that aside, and we're going to work on the 9-inch zipper, and we're going to grab 2 of these small tabs. And the first thing we're going to do is you're going to set it down right side, the zipper is up, and this backstop right here, we're going to turn over the tab to where it's the ugly side up, and we're going to set it down right in front of that little tab. You're going to take it to your machine and you're going to sew it about 1/4 of an inch just straight across. You're going to take your next tab, turn this around, make sure your zipper is open a little bit, pull it together, turn this ugly side up again, set this here. We're going to sew it 1/4 inch across. What this is doing is after we sew it across, then when we open it this way, it gave it a really nice finished edge. Okay, so as you can see, I sewed this 1/4 of an inch in front of those little tabs, and I gave it a very light press, staying away from the nylon zipper. You will melt that. Then I came over here and did the same thing. Now, what I want you to do on this side is I want this to be cut off. I don't want to risk any possibility that you're going to run over that piece with your needle, and it's just on this side you need to cut that off. Okay, so here we are. Our tabs are on, and that little piece was cut off. We're going to lay this on our flat surface, and we're going to put up the pretty side that we made the pretty edge with and just lay it over the top, and just make sure it's even. Okay, so I did attach my zipper, and what I want to do now is fold this like this, and we're basically going to determine how much we want to fold over the top. I'm going to say, let me measure that for you. It's exactly 1/2 inch. So from this up here to there is 1/2 inch. I want you to take that over to your ironing board and give that a good press. Okay, so here we are. We turned this over. We gave it a really good press. We're going to fold this piece back up. And we're going to tuck it under that piece until we are happy with where it is going to sit next to the zipper teeth. We don't want it too close, and we certainly don't want it up there. So we're just going to keep adjusting this, keeping the sides where they need to be. Don't worry about the tabs. They're just going to be folded over with them. And when you're really happy with the placement of that, then what I would do is I would just start pinning it into place like that. And then come across this edge, and you're going to pin this over here. And then, of course, one more over here. If you need to pin a little bit more, that's fine. Okay, so I think we did a really good job where we placed that folded edge. Okay, so now we're going to take it over and we're going to use our zipper foot again, and we're going to sew very, very close to the edge here. And see, what we have done is we have created a pocket. Now you're going to slip your hand back there, and you can open this up, and this will become the inside of that pocket. Okay, so let's take this over, and then we'll come back and we'll show you how to apply it to your bag. Good. So this is what we created. We created this beautiful slip zipper pocket. Okay, it's really, really nice. Also, when we attach it to the bag, it's also against the lining here, or actually the outside here, and it created a slip pocket on the back. At this point, what I like to do is I take it back over to the ironing board and I just give this a really good press. When I'm done with that, I'm going to set it here on the bag and just pay attention to where, because we're going to do some boxed corners, or what I call gussets here. So you're going to want to make sure that it's 2 inches up. You don't want to interfere with those gussets. So here's my 2-inch mark. I'm going to set it, bring it up, not just 2 inches, but just a slight more, maybe even a 1/4 inch up. So I'm going to say 2 1/4 inches from the bottom, and it still leaves us some room up here to turn the bag inside out. Make sure you line up your raw edges, and I'm going to give this a good press. Then I'm going to put it on the bag. I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch right here to attach it to the bag. Hi there. I forgot to show you the cutout for the 3D pocket in the back, so I'm just inserting this here in this part of the video. But it is lightly interfaced, and you're going to need a piece that is 12.5 inches by 11 inches. 1/2 inch bigger than your back shell piece. Okay, so here we are ready to make our little 3D pocket, which is what I call it. So what we're going to do is put right sides together. The 12.5 inch piece is going to be cut in half, and this should be 11 inches across. We're going to take this over to our machine, and we're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam, and I'm going to turn it out inside out, and then I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Okay, now we're going to put our 3D pocket together. So this is your back panel, and I want you to set it on something straight here, okay? And we're going to come up 2 1/4 inches from the bottom, because remember, we like to leave room for our boxed corners. So we're going to set our piece that we just sewed, and it's going 2 1/4 inches up is just actually just perfect. It is going to come off this edge here and this edge here, because it is a little bit bigger than the original shell piece, and that's good. Now what I want you to do is I want you to pin it in a couple of places because we don't want that to move around. So we'll pin it maybe right here close to the bottom. You're probably wondering why we're not sewing this on yet. It's not time. But we are going to put a couple pins in, top and bottom. Okay, do you see where we're at? Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this edge line up with this edge. And we're going to make sure that's still at 2 1/4 inches up. It is, so that's good. And let's take a pin or 2 or 3, doesn't matter. We don't want this moving around at all. So yeah, it's going to take 3 pins. We're going to recap in just a second. So if you're a little bit lost, hang in there. We're not going to go anywhere and leave anybody behind. So there we go. So we're lined up at the bottom. We put some pins in so the whole thing doesn't move. We aligned this side of the fabric with the edge. We're going to turn it and we're going to do the same thing. Bring this over and line it up at the edge. 3 pins is what it's going to take to keep that in place. We're going to double check and make sure that it is all square and correct. And how we do that is I'm going to take these 2 pins out that were in the very center, okay? And all we did is we moved it all in to line up with the edges, but we were making sure that we stayed 2 1/4 inches up. So we're going to line this up at the bottom. Make sure the bottom piece is 2 1/4 inches up. And this one is 2 1/4 inches up, so that's good. And now we have the sides lined up. Now what I want you to do is I want you to find some chalk and a ruler because you're going to measure in 2 inches, 2 inches, and then 2 inches and 2 inches. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn it on its side like this, and I'm going to flatten this out. Okay? So I'm going to come in 2 inches. Here's my mark here, and here's my mark up here. And I'm going to draw a nice little chalk line at 2 inches. All the way to the top of the pocket. Okay? Do you see that? I don't know if you can see the chalk line, but it's there, and it's 2 inches from the side. We're going to turn this over, square this up on my board, and we're going to bring it in 2 inches, 2 inches, top and bottom of the pocket, and we're going to draw a nice line like this. Okay. So what we're going to do now is forget that this is floppy. It's not going anywhere because you have it pinned down so nicely. And another thing that I would do actually is here's my chalk line. Take that and put a pin closest to it, you know, not on it, but that just kind of holds it together a little bit better. I'm going to check my, that looks like it's off just a little bit. I'm going to fix that, okay? It should be 2 inches in. And it looks like I got a little bit crazy there with that line. So I'm going to make sure that's 2 inches in. No, it was correct. It just didn't look right to me. And 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to pop the pin over here on this side as well, kind of close to my chalk line, so that things don't move. I'm going to put it right here. Okay. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to start here at the bottom, back stitch, and sew across the pocket. When I get to the top here, I'm going to do a nice back stitch. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. It is not time yet to sew up the bottom. Okay, so hopefully that went really, really well for you. The easiest way for me to show you how I do this part is I lift this up a little bit and I find the very, very center the best I can, and I set the center down. So let's see how I'm going to show you how to do that. You can fold this whole entire thing in half like this and give it a little finger press. Okay? And so what that does is that showed me the center of my pocket. This is the bottom of the pocket, by the way. I'm going to just set that down, making sure that it is straight across, okay? You don't want it to come up like this. You just want it to come straight across. I'm just going to set my center down, and I'm going to put a pin in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my ironing board, and I'm going to, because it's in the center now, okay? And I'm just going to fold over what's left on that side and fold over what's left on this side. And I'm going to just give it a really nice press, and it will make a really nice pleat for me. So just to recap, we just found the center by folding in half. Okay, that helped us find a little crease here in the center. We pushed it down where the crease was, lining up the center. I put in a pin. Okay, now I'm going to take it over to the ironing board. I'm going to push this way and push this way. And I'm going to iron that down. While I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and go over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to make a top stitch about, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch maybe, all along the bottom. Come up over my new seam. You want that nice and flat and down. Come across and come across this seam and back over. And your 3D pocket will be complete. Okay, this part is completed. I did sew up the bottom. It came out really nice. But I wanted to give you a thought. If you wanted this to expand more, you would have made this pocket wider. We only made ours a 1/2 inch wider than our back piece here to sew it to. Okay? If you want it to expand, you're going to make it a little bit wider. The reason I didn't is I wanted this to only open up just a little bit. I didn't want it really saggy. I just didn't want it to feel like it was just going to be really open and anything I put in it fell out. So I did kind of make it a tighter pocket, but it is 3D. It is pleated on the sides. It came out, really, really nice, but you can adjust that any way you want. You can also make it a smaller pocket this way by putting your little sewing line that I did. You can move it closer in. There's so many different ways that you can make this, but for this particular bag and the lady I'm making it for, this just seems to be a really, really good fit. So, okay, we're going to put the bag together. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and trim my front part and get rid of these tabs. So I clean that up a little bit. Top of that and the top of this one, turn it right sides together. I'm going to take this to my machine and sew it all 3 sides, and I'll meet you back here when we finish that. Okay, so I did sew this together, and we're at the point where we're going to cut out our gussets to sew. And I wanted to show you this little template. I did show on my last video, but I've had a couple requests on what this is about and how I made it. And basically, this has been a very, very helpful tool, and it only takes a minute to make one for yourself. You may or may not know that if you cut a 1-inch square here, it's going to make a 2-inch gusset, okay? If you cut out a 1.5-inch square here, you're going to make a 3-inch gusset. So whatever size your cutout is, you're going to double that, and that's going to be your gusset. So how I made this template, I just want to take a second to show you this, is when the fat quarters come, and I love to get fat quarters from the fabric store, I save these little cardboard pieces. And what I do is I set them down on my mat, and I measure out 1 inch by 1 inch. And then I write 1 inch equals 2 inches. And that shows me, when I cut that out, the exact size I'm going to need for that particular gusset. Then I come over here and I do a 1.5 inch, then I do a 2 inch, and so on and so forth. This is already cut out. And what I'm going to do now, this bag is going to have 2-inch gussets, so I'm going to use my 1-inch template. And when I set it down, I don't go an inch from the raw edge. I go an inch from the seam to the seam. Okay? So my 2-inch gusset, I'm going to use the 1-inch template, and it's lined up right here on this edge with my seam, and right here on this edge with my seam. It works so good, you guys. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And then what I do is I just trace that. Okay. And then I do that on this side as well. Line this up against the seams. It works so good. I've seen a lot of these videos and I never did understand the whole gusset thing, and now I'm giving you some good information. Hopefully it works really well for you. Okay, and then I just cut these out. My scissors. I need new scissors. Then what I do is I open up the bag and I pinch this against this one. And I open up my seams. Oops, can you see that? And, oh, there I am. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I reach in here and I squeeze these together and I open up my seams. Can you see that? Am I okay? Now I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and about 1/4 of an inch I'm going to sew across there, and I'm going to stitch it really, really good. Make sure that it's zigzag, not zigzag, but go forward and back to lock it, okay? Okay, so I went ahead and I trimmed my edges just a little bit to get rid of some of that bulk. Let's turn this inside out and see how we did. Okay. All right, so that looks really, really good. Here's our little zip pocket. It came out great. And it's also a slip on the top, so that came out really, really good. And then our little 3D pocket in the back. So we're rolling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our liner together and we'll get started on that.